Doctor, we've spoken to a lot of women who've come out of abusive situations, and I've asked them to explain some of their story. What's interesting to me is that they talk about perpetrators in a very similar way. Similar things have happened, similar things have been said. Would you say that there's a specific psyche or something that you can describe the psyche or the character of an abuser to be?
So I think it's a difficult question because they fit all shapes and sizes. So, but I think sort of common threads, definitely a risk factor for being an offender and an abuser, mental illness, substance abuse. Those are sort of ones that one can quite commonly say one finds in men who are abusive, but it's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Often we think it's guys who are maybe really big and strong and, you know, powerful, but inevitably it's actually not. It's people who sometimes actually almost thrive off the woman's success. They're sometimes attracted to really strong and powerful women, and they almost, you'll see the profile of a man who's more of a, one could say, a leech or more of a hanger-on, and kind of, he thrives off her money, he thrives off her success, things like that, and there's this beaten woman syndrome where it's almost, he somehow convinces the strong, powerful woman that she's nothing without him, even though it's actually quite the opposite. So that kind of profile. And then the more sort of, the less malicious and well thought out, it's more a case of somebody who's quite impulsive and will just lash out. So somebody, let's say, with an undiagnosed mood disorder, or somebody with substance, you know, who's abusing substances, the part of your brain that tells you to act in sort of socially normative ways or in restrained ways isn't, you know, is faulty in that particular person, and that's when you see just sort of outbursts. And so can't really say they fit into one particular profile, but these are just sort of two, kind of, on the one hand, the mentally ill individual, on the other hand, somebody who's actually, it's almost quite calculated.
Yes, so I was going to say, the other side is the one who'll make the plan and try to do something, as you say, calculated, right?
So almost to soften this woman up to believe that she can't really be much without him, even though to an outsider you're looking at, you know, you're looking at this woman, she's successful, she's, you know, doing well, you would think she's the last person who would depend on a man, but sort of almost leading her to believe that she can't be without him.
I think it's so important that you've said that, because lots of women who find themselves in that situation then kind of double down on suppressing themselves and punishing themselves for having fallen victim of this person. So I think it's very important that you're saying that abusers look out for people who are actually quite amazing and strong and great and try to bring them down. A thing that's become quite a popular term now is narcissism, right? So people talk about people having narcissistic personality disorder, and you're just following things on Facebook posts or Instagram posts about abusers actually having that. What would you say to that from a medical point of view, rather than from, you know, what the layman sees on television shows, for example?
Well, narcissism, according to DSM-5, I believe maybe doesn't illustrate it as nicely as a more psychological type of narcissism. So it's almost a fragile human being who needs to kind of feel that he's better than everyone else, very entitled, very, you know, I deserve, I'm owed by the world. And also some individuals who are actually quite fragile. So the abusers themselves quite fragile, psychologically, and sort of almost prone to what we call a narcissistic injury, where and that's when you see things switch. So when the woman leaves and when they sense she's actually going to do it. So it was always before that, you know, crying, take me back, I can't live without you, I love you so much. Then it turns a little bit ugly, oh, but you couldn't live without me, but you know, I'm just there for you. And then what makes it quite dangerous is then it switches when he sees that she actually really means to leave.
Right.
It becomes almost a narcissistic injury where, you know, it's taken so personally, and that's when things get ugly. And that's why they say that the most dangerous time for a woman who's going to leave a man is when she leaves. When she actually does it, or when he senses she's serious this time. Because there'll be lots of threats, I'm going, and it's almost like they can sense when it's really, really going to happen, and that's when the sort of the ugly, vengeful, spiteful, that kind of side will come out.
Is it worthwhile to explore why certain women would fall prey to an abuser and others wouldn't, and what that relationship dynamic is.
So I think it's important because anyone can fall prey to an abuser. So I think that's what's very important to know is a lot of women who do end up in that situation, that it's embarrassing. It's, you know, they're embarrassed that they fell for it, and they feel like it was sort of a fault within themselves, that something they did or thought has brought this upon them. And I think it's important to know that that's actually rubbish. It can happen to the most intelligent, the most powerful. It can happen to people who aren't intelligent. It can happen to people with money, without money, people who've had easy lives, hard lives, people. So it's almost it's not about you, it's about them. They're the ones with the problem. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I can't say that there's a profile of the abused.
Okay.
Because the healthiest psyche and the best minds, I've seen it happen.
Yeah. A lot of talk goes around why women stay, and we've talked a lot about, you know, taking on average 7 attempts for a woman to leave an abusive relationship. And part of that is because we want to believe that someone will heal and I can help you and I can fix you. Can somebody who's an abuser be healed and stop abusing? Can they get better?
So I think what's important to understand is past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. So if it's now the 7th time he's hit you and said he's going to change, he's probably not going to change because he hasn't so far. Changing is really hard. To really change is very, very hard. I can't say it's not possible, but if a guy sits in front of you and says, oh, baby, I'm going to change, unless they're going to go to rehab and to attend therapy and to, you know, really get some help changing, and they've got a team of professionals behind them, and, you know, that's for me at least giving themselves a shot to change. But I'm going to change. Well, why now? And why not before? Why not before you hit me? Why not before you made me feel useless or worthless or skeptical? One should be skeptical.
So we're looking at current situations, women who are trying to get themselves out of abusive situations and how to heal perpetrators. But what about thinking about the future, right? So if you're raising sons, if you're raising daughters, how do we get them to think differently and not get into these types of situations and even become violent perpetrators?
So a lot of work has been done around girls, empowering girls, teaching girls that they can, you know, rise above circumstances, and that, for me, that's really important. But my personal view and something that's close to my heart is the boys, is our boys. We need to focus on our boys. We need to teach our boys. A lot of the time, sexism, I don't feel it's malicious, it's ignorant. Right. So it's boys that just don't know that girls can be in charge. Girls can run businesses. Girls can be coaches. They can be athletes. They can be, they can be figures to look up to. And I think sometimes what's really, really important for me is to teach our boys and to kind of focus on the male child. And,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but by showing them powerful, strong female role models as well. Smashing the patriarchy. Feminism is for everybody. You're also quite active in helping, is it women with self-defense? Is that what you do?
So that, strange enough, everyone asked me, oh, you teach women, because I was a professional mixed martial arts athlete. I retired and then I went into coaching, and people were wondering, oh, are you going to have a girls class? And I'm like, no, I teach boys.
Awesome.
My class is boys.
Awesome.
And then I thought, am I a bad feminist? Why am I teaching these boys to fight? And I'm like, no, I'm coach. They call me coach.
Yes.
They respect me. They coach, can I go to the bathroom? Coach, can I stop and have some water? Coach. And no, they're learning that, you know, that to respect me and to respect women. And I think that that's just as powerful as if I had a girls class and teaching girls self-defense. I think just teaching boys to fight, but I was their coach.
Yes.
I think that's also making, you know, doing my bit, I suppose.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.